everyone, my name is Peter Hall.
My name is Joshua Hall.
We're the Media Maniacs, and today we're going to be talking about Earth Day and the hypocrisy of the environmentalism movement. Okay? Yesterday, me and my twin brother Josh went to an Earth Day event in Redlands. They had like a band playing there. I filmed most of the band performance. I also talked to a couple people. We tried to do some interviews, but most people were not really receptive to the idea.
Because of my shirt.
Yeah, and it's because they didn't like the fact that we were trying to talk about how we don't really believe in the environmentalism movement and stuff like that. Yeah, my brother is wearing a shirt that says "I love global warming," so a couple people got kind of pissed off about that. They didn't get overtly angry, but I could tell that they were not pleased. But
You love global warming, huh? I was like, I don't believe in it. Yeah, one lady from the Sierra Club got pissed and I said, I don't believe in it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I have a Day of Climate Action Lifestyle Commitment for Earth Day 2023. Okay. Some of these are actually pretty good, but they're cover for the things that are bad, for the things that are going to, remove our freedoms and restrict what we can and what we can do. Okay, remove turf and landscape with native plants. If you want to do that, that's fine. Swap out my kitchen and household products and get or make earth-friendly substitutes. If you want to do it, that's fine. I don't really care. Plant a tree. That's good. Fix a leak. Yeah. Leaks are bad for your wallet, and depending on the kind of leak, they could be bad for your health and safety. Establish a household system for conserving water.
That just means taking less showers, baths, not washing your car, not washing your dishes, not doing your laundry.
And they don't want you flushing the toilet if you just piss. Like, the smart toilets now, they have two different flush buttons. One uses less water for just liquid waste. The other uses more for...
I used to be a custodian at the University of Redlands, and we had green urinals which didn't flush. They were urinals that didn't flush, and in order to clean them, you had to fill up water from the sink and pour it into the urinal to flush the urinals out because they don't flush.
That's stupid.
And they stunk. And staff and students complained about the urinals. So they were trying to put them all over campus, but they only put them in one or two buildings because people didn't like them.
Okay. Create a pollinator garden. Okay. A garden for the bees. Fine. Shop at farmers markets. Fine. No problem with that. Buy a reusable water bottle and commit to no more plastic water bottles. Yeah, I'm ambivalent about that. Switch all my bills to paperless. Fine, whatever. I hate paperwork. Stop using plastic straws. Oh, boo-hoo. Plastic straws. They're killing... down with the plastic! Down with plastic! Yeah!
Well, the plastic in the oceans is a really big problem. I mean, there's enough plastic in the oceans now. In the Pacific.
Okay, but
there's a different continent.
There's a difference between using plastic and then dumping it and just throwing it away.
Right.
They want us to use these fucking paper straws that get all soggy before you can...
I hate that.
Yeah. So fuck that bullshit. Start a garden.
But plastic
fine.
In the ocean I actually am concerned about because it's gotten so bad that the plastic in the ocean, there's a spot in the Pacific where there's so much plastic, it's its own continent practically.
Yeah, but banning plastic straws isn't going to solve the problem.
Right.
Start a garden, fine. Get to know my neighbor, fine. Start kitchen composting. Start a compost heap in my garden or backyard. My grandparents used to do that. Pledge not to eat meat one day a week or more.
Not going to do that. I refuse.
Yeah, I mean, humans are omnivorous. That means we eat both plants and other animals. And even animals that are normally herbivorous, that means they only eat vegetables. They actually have been documented.
Deers have been documented eating birds.
Yeah, eating
deer.
They'll step and kill birds and then eat them. They're eating like their bones for calcium or something like that. So yeah, fuck the pledge to not eat meat. Donate plants to an environmental cause. Change all light bulbs to LED.
That's stupid.
Lower the temperature on the water heater. Install a low flow shower head.
No.
Fuck low flow. Use public transportation whenever possible. Fuck public transportation. Create a family preparedness plan for disasters.
If it was more
fine.
efficient, I wouldn't mind, but it's not.
Well, I don't have a problem with like the Amtrak train that comes through, but nobody hardly ever uses it, so they wasted money on it.
Well, I'm also talking about the buses.
Yeah. Change to a plant-based diet. I mean, yeah, we probably should eat more fruits and vegetables, but we shouldn't just eat those because we do need meat for protein and other things. Go solar and buy an electric vehicle. The thing about buying an electric vehicle, this really pisses me off. They're telling us not to reduce our driving of gas-powered vehicles and stuff, and trying to make it so that we have to buy electric. Like they're banning all gas-powered cars in like the next 10 years or so. But like literally, like earlier this year, we were literally told not to charge electric vehicles because the power grid couldn't handle it. So fuck that bullshit. Okay, so that's all the that's the whole list for lifestyle commitment for a day of climate action, Earth Day 2023.
Ooh, let's read this.
Okay. Oh, and I got this from one of the table booths yesterday. It's most of it has to do with COVID-19. They're still showing COVID-19 bullshit. Like, who's worried about COVID-19 anymore? Fuck that nonsense. Okay, so I have this thing called a FlowFlex COVID-19 antigen home test.
Speaking of COVID-19, what was that school that, like, I think it might have been in Los Angeles, I'm not... You heard about that school that had students and teachers licking whipped cream off, like, a plexiglass, right?
Oh yeah, Michael Knowles talked about that.
What state was that in?
I forget, but that was pretty dumb.
First of all, that's unhygienic, and makes me want to barf. Sorry,
Get a hold of yourself.
That's just...
God damn it, Josh.
It's just gross thinking about it.
I know, but I'm not going to barf over it.
You brought that up, made me think about...
Get a hold of yourself, man.
Okay. And was barfed watching those videos. Anyway. These are the same people. The people who promote this shit are the same people who are literally freaking out for almost 2 goddamn years. Some of these people are still freaking out that people no longer go around, the majority of us no longer go around wearing masks.
Yeah, I have like a whole bunch of masks right here. They gave me like a COVID-19 kit. I got a magnet. It's COVID-19 treatment options. Test to treat. If you have had symptoms for fewer than 6 days, adults and children ages 12 years and older, treatment is nirmatrelvir with ritonavir, Paxlovid antiviral, taken at home by mouth orally. Adults, Molnupiravir, Lagavrio antiviral, taken at home by mouth orally. If you've had symptoms for fewer than 8 days, adults and children, Remdesivir, Veklury antiviral, IV for 3 consecutive days.
Remdesivir has killed a whole bunch of people.
adults, children ages 12 years and older, bebtelovimab, monoclonal antibody, single IV injection, preventative treatment if you are immunocompromised, adults and children, LAAB treatment, Evusheld, intramuscular injections. COVID-19 treatments and preventative treatments are not a substitute for the COVID-19 vaccine. You know, during the COVID-19 bullshit pandemic, I actually got COVID a couple times, and the first time I barely even noticed it, but because I tested positive, my work at the time told me to take 2 weeks off. I was like, okay, free vacation, haha. And then like the second time was a little bit worse, but only just a little bit. So, I might have gotten it more than that, but I don't remember. Like, I didn't get tested for it. I only remember getting it about twice. So, but each time I got sick, I just stayed home and rested. Didn't have to go to the hospital or anything like that. Didn't take any medications for it. Didn't get the vaccine. So, like, using your bullshit logic, I should be dead or severely, like, impaired because of having COVID. But I'm perfectly healthy. So, fuck you, assholes. Okay. Here's a placard for test to treat. If you are suffering from severe symptoms of COVID-19, here's how to get help. Go to the hospital or seek emergency medical attention right away. If you develop severe COVID-19 symptoms, including having trouble breathing, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion or disorientation, inability to wake or stay awake, pale gray or blue colored skin, lips or nail beds, depending on skin tone. Okay? Those symptoms could be for anything, not just COVID-19. Everything's still got to be about fucking COVID-19. Fucking bullshit. Get tested as soon as you notice COVID-19 symptoms, or if you were exposed to someone who tested positive for COVID-19. You can find a testing location near you on My Turn. Fuck that. If you don't have insurance, you can visit an Optum Serve location.
Speaking of which, did anybody notice? Did anyone read the article from the New York Times where they thanked the LGBT community for saving us from monkeypox?
No.
Yep.
Where'd you read that?
I saw the video on Vincent James.
Oh, if you test positive, contact your health provider. If you don't have a healthcare provider, find a test to treat location. If you don't have insurance, visit an Optum Serve location.
You want to see if I can find the article?
All right. The power of being prepared. Public safety power shutoff.
You know, they never used to shut off our power to prevent, in the case of high winds, up until like a few years ago. They started doing this bullshit in 2017, 18, stuff like that, but prior to that, they never did, and it's just stupid.
Okay. Visit prepareforpowerdown.com today to learn more about the power of being prepared. The threats of wildfire and extreme weather in California are real. As a result, California's 3 largest energy companies, at the direction of the California Public Utilities Commission, are coordinating to prepare all Californians for the threat of wildfires and power outages during times of extreme weather. To help protect customers and communities during extreme weather events, electric power may be shut off for public safety in an effort to prevent a wildfire. This is called a public safety power shutoff. This is just conditioning
us to get used to prolonged power outages. What they need to do is they need to allocate additional tax money to building and repairing like power lines and stuff, and then maintaining them or building new ones.
Getting rid of all the vegetation that could burn, like getting rid of all the dead trees and stuff, all the dry grasses and stuff. They're not doing any of that bullshit. No, they gotta shut down our fucking power. Shutting off power for safety. As a safety precaution, San Diego Gas and Electric, Southern California Edison, and Pacific Gas and Electric monitor local fire and extreme weather conditions across California and evaluate whether to turn off electric power. The decision and action to turn off power is made by each individual energy company and is based on a combination of factors. Factors include, but are not limited to, high winds, including red flag warnings, low humidity, dry vegetation that could serve as fuel, fire threat to electric infrastructure, on-the-ground observations, public safety risk. What you can expect. If a public safety power shutoff is needed during extreme conditions, you can expect early warning notifications. Your energy company will aim to send customer alerts before shutting off power. Ongoing updates. Your energy company will provide ongoing updates through social media, local news outlets, and their website. Well, how can we access that if we don't have power? The electronic devices that we use to access that crap, we won't.
If we have ham radio.
Well, they said through social media, local news outlets, and their website.
Yeah.
So we need computers.
If you have ham radio, you can get the updates.
Yeah. But they're not talking about that. They're talking about devices that require electricity, like computers, laptops, cell phones. Cell phones are somewhat independent, but they still need to be charged, and without power, you can't charge your fucking cell phone. Not unless you have like a solar-powered battery or something.
Yeah.
Safety inspections. After extreme weather is passed, your energy company will inspect the lines and affected areas before power is safely restored. Power restoration. Power outages could last multiple days, depending on the severity of the weather and other factors. It is important that you and your family have an emergency preparedness plan in place.
Let's read the back.
While public safety power shutoff events are more likely to occur in high fire risk areas, all Californians could be impacted by emergency events and need to be prepared with a plan. Customers should also update their contact information with their energy company so they can receive notifications. Below are specific steps you and your family can take to be ready should there be an extended power outage that lasts multiple days. Stay safe. Take action. Create your emergency plan today by following the tips listed below. Update your contact information with your local energy company. Identify backup charging methods for phones and keep hard copies of emergency numbers. Plan for any medical needs like medications that need to be refrigerated or devices that require power. Plan for the needs of pets and livestock. Build or restock your emergency kit with flashlights, fresh batteries, first aid supplies, and cash. Designate an emergency meeting location. Know how to manually open your garage door.
Speaking of livestock, they're trying to get rid of those. Oh, and backup generators are trying to make illegal too.
Ensure any backup generators are ready to safely operate. Identify the unique needs of your family and loved ones in the area for your emergency plan. Okay. Masking chips for children. Another more COVID-19 propaganda. An effective mask has both good fit and filtration. Follow these tips to choose the best mask to protect children from COVID-19. Stop masking kids, okay? They're least likely to be affected by COVID-19. People who are going to be affected by COVID-19 are people who are sick and the elderly. So fuck off with this propaganda.
The elderly, if they're in good health, are not likely to be affected.
An effective mask has both good fit and filtration. A good, well-fitting mask helps protect children from COVID-19 and is especially important at school. An effective mask has both good fit and filtration. It should be snug to the face, cover the nose, and have no gaps around the edges. It should be made with material that filters air well enough to block viruses. Children should be encouraged to wear the best possible mask, one that fits well that fits and filters well. However, the highest quality mask that will be comfortably worn is better than no mask at all. Most effective, KF94, KN95, double mask cloth, mask over a medical mask. N95 for older children. Effective, medical mask, surgical. Least effective, cloth mask. Choose one with 3 or more layers of fabric. KF94, KN95, and N95 respirator masks. Fucking bullshit. KF94 and KN95 masks are available in kid sizes and other good fit and good filtration. Be sure ear loops are sized for a snug fit. Carefully check reviews before purchasing online to avoid counterfeit masks on the market. N95s also provide excellent fit and filtration but will not fit smaller faces. N95s in size small may fit older children. Medical masks, including surgical and disposable face masks. Kid-sized medical masks provide good filtration but do not provide a tight fit. The fit of a medical mask can be improved with a simple modification by tying a knot on the ear loops to create a snug fit, or using a mask brace. To find a high-quality medical mask, search for ASTM medical masks for kids. All masks may be safely reused if the ear loops and nose clip provide a snug fit, unless they become damaged or dirty. Okay, when you're wearing a mask, you're basically like rebreathing your own germs. So that's fucking nonsense. A cloth mask is better than no mask at all and can help reduce the spread of COVID-19. However, many cloth masks fit and filter poorly. The best kid-sized fabric masks have 2 layers of tightly woven fabric with a 3rd layer of non-woven fabric, such as polypropylene, a nose wire to reduce gaps around the nose, adjustable ear loops. Warning, children younger than 2 years old should not wear masks due to suffocation risk. How to protect yourself and others from COVID-19. Get a COVID-19 vaccination. Fuck that. COVID-19 vaccines are effective at keeping you from getting COVID-19, especially severe illness and death. Vaccines are safe, effective, and free. No, they're not. Wear a mask. In indoor public places, people ages 2 and older should wear a mask if they are not fully vaccinated in an area with substantial or high transmission, fully vaccinated with weakened immune systems. Okay, so if you're fully vaccinated, but you're in an area with that supposedly has high transmission, then why do you still need to wear a mask if the vaccines are safe and effective? Fuck you. In general, in outdoor settings, you do not need to wear a mask. In areas with high numbers of COVID-19 cases, consider wearing a mask in crowded outdoor settings and for activities of close contact with others who are not fully vaccinated. Stay 6 feet away from others. Still propagating this bullshit. Stay 6 feet apart from people who don't live in your household. Remember that some people without symptoms may be able to spread the virus. Keeping distance from others is especially important for people who are higher at risk of getting very sick. Avoid crowds in poorly ventilated places. Being in crowds like in restaurants, bars, fitness centers, or movie theaters puts you at higher risk for COVID-19. Avoid indoor spaces that do not offer fresh air from the outdoors.
Does that mean that you should just avoid going outside altogether? Because, you know, if you live in like a big city and you go outside, there's crowds outside.
Avoid indoor spaces that do not offer fresh air from the outdoors as much as possible. If indoors, bring in fresh air by opening windows and doors if possible. Test to prevent spread to others. Over-the-counter self-tests can be used at home or anywhere, are easy to use, and produce rapid results. Consider using a self-test before joining indoor gatherings with others who are not in your household. Wash your hands often with soap and water, especially after you have been in a public place. If soap and water are not available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol.
I've heard rumors that self-tests
avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands.
Are being intentionally infected with like the COVID vaccine because, you know, to ensure that people who didn't get vaccinated get the vaccine, and then like, you know, your body starts making the spike proteins. Also, I've heard that the that the self-COVID tests are made by the same people who do the Ancestry DNA online tests, and those tests are owned by China, and they're gathering your DNA. So,
okay. So far, the only good advice that I've been reading from this is to wash your hands. Another good one is cover coughs and sneezes. Always cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow. Do not spit. Throw used tissues in the trash. Immediately wash your hands with soap and water, or use hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Okay, so that's good advice. The rest of this is crap. Clean and disinfect. Clean high-touch surfaces daily. If someone is sick or has tested positive for COVID-19, disinfect frequently touched surfaces. If surfaces are dirty, clean them using detergent or soap and water prior to disinfection.
That's also good advice.
Yeah. Monitor your health daily. Be alert for symptoms. Watch for fever, cough, shortness of breath, or other symptoms of COVID-19. Everything's about fucking COVID-19. Take your temperature if symptoms develop. If you have symptoms, especially if you've been around someone with COVID-19, get tested as soon as possible. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is about, this one is called Building Resilient Communities. Who we are, our purpose, vision, and mission. Building resilient communities, reason why for our existence, is to fulfill our foundational scriptures, which are Isaiah 58:12, along with Isaiah 61, verse 1 and 3. Our way of addressing our foundational scriptures, since they brought up the Bible, bring out your phone. Our way of addressing our foundational scriptures is to identify systematic problems that cause communities to be disadvantaged and vulnerable in times of disaster. We strive to mitigate systemic disparities in the environment, racial bias, and economic conditions. We work with partners with shared interests to mitigate these systemic problems. We envision a world where communities are filled with hope, overcome adverse conditions, are prepared for disasters, and recover from disruptive experiences.
58.
Our mission is to advocate for and provide resources, tools, and education to disadvantaged and vulnerable communities to prepare and overcome disasters. We equip families and youth, community and faith-based organizations, small businesses, and government. Okay, so look up Isaiah 58, verse 12.
Your people will rebuild the ancient ruins and will raise up the age-old foundations. You will be called repairer of broken walls, restorer of streets with dwellings.
Okay, and then look up 61.
6:1,
chapter 6:1, verses 1 and 3. One and 3.
Okay. The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor.
Okay, so I'm tired of hearing about how like everything's racist and there's all this bias and stuff like that. Yeah, everybody experiences bias. Okay, but stop thinking of yourselves as victims. Just because you're a person of color does not mean that you're a victim. Okay, white people are not your oppressors.
White is a color too.
And you're not slaves. So stop acting like victims. Okay.
I want to read that New York Times article. Well, we don't need to read that. That's...
Yeah.
New York Times. Thanks, gays, for saving us from monkeypox. Okay, here it is. The New York Times, listen to this, Peter.
Okay.
How gay men saved us from monkeypox. 4 weeks, the same awkward scene played out again and again in sexually transmitted infection clinics across the United States. Half-naked gay men stood with their pants around their ankles, while clinicians crouched between their legs, swabs at the ready. I feel bad for the clinicians. The clinicians were covered head to toe in hazmat chic, gowns, gloves, face shields, and N95 respirators. The men were covered in something much worse. Painful lesions on their genitals, their anuses, and sometimes even their faces and limbs. Yeah, that's because they were sucking dick and eating ass. It was July of 2022, just last summer.
You know, straight people would do that too, but it is curious how gay people were affected by it more than straight people.
Men don't do that. Straight men don't suck dick.
No, but they lick pussy and they eat ass. If it's a female.
Yeah.
So they can get monkeypox, possibly. I'm just saying. It's funny how this was like almost purely a disease for the gays.
And only the gay men. It was summer, July of 2022, just last summer, and an outbreak of monkeypox, formerly known as was in full swing. From a handful of cases in a few cities in early May, the outbreak surged to more than 16,000 cases in 5 countries and territories just 2 months later. It was terrifying. 16,000 cases? That's actually pretty fucking small. The sudden appearance of so many monkeypox cases everywhere and all at once was shocking. Aside from an occasional case among travelers from countries in the West or Central Africa, where the virus is endemic, monkeypox was extremely rare in Europe or North America. The United States had only seen one outbreak back in 2003 among Midwesterners with pet prairie dogs that had been housed with infected African rodents. There were 47 cases then, and no documented cases of human-to-human transmission. This time was different. In early May of 2022, monkeypox found its way to gay raves in Spain and Belgium, huge annual parties that draw men from all over the world. Clothing was scant, grinding was plentiful, and when the parties were over, everyone flew home. Within weeks, monkeypox cases resulting from human-to-human transmission began cropping up in cities worldwide. I've been saying this for the past couple years now, because someone needs to say it, but the LGBTQ plus community is a goddamn social cancer, okay? And everyone who's a member is a social cancer as both part of a group and on individual terms. You're all a social cancer, you're human garbage, you need to be thrown into a landfill. Vincent James said the same thing. While the outbreak caught the public unaware, public health officials had been warned. 5 years later, Dr. Dimi Ogonia had observed unusual cases in Nigeria, first in an 11-year-old boy and then among young men who reported multiple sex partners or encounters with sex workers.
Excuse me.
He soon realized that this
Can I add something? I just want to add how it was fucking bullshit. How during the pandemic, like when everything was locked down and stuff, how like only the LGBT community was getting any sympathy about the lockdowns. Like there were articles being written about how
and big corporate stores.
Yeah, there were articles being written about how trans people couldn't have their gender-affirming care surgeries because the hospitals were overflowing with COVID patients, and that was preventing them from getting the gender-affirming care they needed to live their lives.
And gay bars and gay strip clubs weren't shut down.
Yeah, but they could be as disgusting and degenerate as they wanted. And that's how this monkeypox bullshit started. But the rest of us were told, no, shelter in place, wear a mask, don't meet up with your friends. But these fucking fags and trannies could do whatever the fuck they wanted. Fuck you assholes.
Get your COVID vaccine, get vaccinated and get a vaccine passport so you can leave your house. Oh, and then they wanted us to get a vaccine passport to go on the internet.
Yeah.
And they're still doing that in Canada and Australia and the UK.
Fuck you, douchebags. Okay, keep reading.
You still need a vaccine passport to access the internet if you live in Australia, Canada, or Europe. not just to leave your house, but to access the fucking internet. How are you gonna get COVID through the fucking internet? Okay, I just want to say that, like, in New York, there are, like, 30 cases of, like, monkeypox in children. And those kids were all being fostered or adopted by LGBTQ plus parents. How the fuck do you think that happened? It's highly suspicious. In France, a dog got monkeypox because of its owners. How do you think that happened? And just as we were grappling with proof that Dr. Ogoina was right about everything, right that something had changed, right that monkeypox is transmitted sexually, and right to raise the alarm, testing revealed that the monkeypox virus could survive on linens or clothing for more than 2 weeks. While we were both primarily concerned for those already suffering from monkeypox and those at highest risk of contracting the virus, we feared what might happen if monkeypox made its way into hotel rooms and onto cruise ships and college campuses. Think of all those frat house couches that are rarely cleaned. This outbreak could become an epidemic, perhaps even a pandemic. Luckily, we were wrong. While monkeypox could live on surfaces, it turned out it didn't spread that way. The virus required close sustained contact to spread, which is why it was fanning out overwhelmingly through sex. So this outbreak that started in gay and bisexual communities mostly stayed in those communities, but not for long. On January 31st, 2023, the federal government declared an end to the monkeypox emergency as average case counts fell from a peak of over 450 per day in early August to fewer than 5 during the last week of January. While the outbreak in the United States lasted just under 9 months, it caused plenty of damage, resulting in more than 30,000 cases and 42 deaths. Not enough deaths, if you ask me. While the outbreak ended faster than many believed it would, it was far worse than it needed to be, representing both a public health triumph and a public health failure. Both health officials and the media failed to expeditiously warn and engage the gay community in the outbreak's crucial first weeks. When the first cases were reported among gay and bisexual men in the West, health authorities and the media couldn't bring themselves to say the word gay. To avoid stigmatizing gay and bisexual men, early reports buried the lead. The Associated Press didn't mention that this outbreak was being seen almost exclusively in gay men until 15 paragraphs into one report. Other reports didn't mention gay and bisexual men at all. A gay man scanning headlines in May of last year might have learned of an outbreak, but unless he had traveled to West Africa recently or had come in contact with infected rodents or primates, he could have easily concluded that he wasn't at risk. While this desire to avoid stigmatizing gay and bisexual men was understandable, they need to be stigmatized, by the way, it wasn't helpful. We know gay sex has been unfairly blamed for everything, from natural disasters to the fall of Rome, but in their efforts to avoid stigmatizing the community, health authorities and the media failed to effectively warn gay and bisexual men. Ignorant of the threat as the virus spread, gay and bisexual men couldn't take steps to protect themselves and their partners. Unfortunately, stigma and discrimination found the community anyway. Gay men with monkeypox turn away from urgent care clinics and emergency rooms. Lobotomists refuse to draw their blood. Like its predecessors, COVID-19 and HIV/AIDS, monkeypox had all the makings of a public health disaster. It took nearly 2 months for the outbreak for tests to become widely available. A dearth of vaccines created Hunger Games-like scenarios in cities throughout the country, with vaccine clinics opening and then shutting their doors for lack of supply. Cases began to appear in a small handful of transgender people and cisgender women and children, raising an alarm about wider spread. Even after it was evident that this painfully potentially disfiguring or even fatal infection was spreading through gay men's sexual networks, public health officials and the media were hesitant to give the same advice they'd given freely at the beginning of the COVID pandemic. Limit your number of sex partners and express your sexuality in socially distant ways.
Yeah. So, like, gay people and trans people could have all the fucking sex and socialization they wanted, but the rest of us had to shelter in place.
But while health officials and journalists hesitated, gay and bisexual men sprang into action. Young men with lesions covering their faces took to social mainstream media, telling the public that they were dealing with the worst pain I've experienced in my life, and perhaps the most telling, I'd rather have COVID. a gay journalist, and Carlton Thomas, a gay doctor, risked cancellation. E.g. being yelled at on Twitter to dish out what Dr. Thomas referred to as tough love advice for their community. Sign the brakes on sex outside of committed relationships, seek immediate medical care for symptoms, and get vaccinated as soon as possible. And the gay community listened. Gay party promoters canceled long-planned events.
Oh, boo fucking who?
And gay men temporarily deleted hookup apps from their phones and reduced their sexual contacts. The Centers for Disease Control Prevention verified these shifts in behavior, reporting that half of gay men So you're celebrating them for just taking the necessary precautions? What? Do they need a fucking medal?
Yeah. You're gonna give every gay man that did this the Presidential Medal of Freedom or something? Nobel Prize? You helped stop the spread of monkeypox. Here's your prize.
Yeah. Reporting that half of gay men surveyed reduced their number of sex partners, one-time sexual encounters, and use of dating apps during the outbreak. And gay or bisexual men got vaccinated in droves. 2/3 of those surveyed by the Pew Research Center in September 2022 reported that they had already received a monkeypox vaccine or were planning to do so. Gay and bisexual men endured frustrating attempts to secure appointments for the crucial first dose of the two-dose series, and hour-long waits at pop-up vaccination sites.
Every time I go to the hospital, which isn't often, I have to wait a fucking long time. I remember the last time I went...
Over 1 million...
Let me talk. I remember the last time I went to the hospital. Every once in a while, I just get randomly sick, and I'm throwing up. I can't eat anything. I can barely keep fluid down. So I go to the hospital, and I'm waiting there for hours and hours and hours. And the last time I went and this happened, they kept on coming out and calling this Hispanic guy. I forget the name that they were calling. But they kept on calling this Hispanic guy, and it was the same person. And they called him several times. And eventually it's it's obvious the guy's not fucking here. Why don't you call somebody who fucking is? And they kind of got mad at me and threatened to kick me out.
Was that when you had to have your appendix taken out?
No. This is I think almost 2 years ago.
Of the over 1 million doses of Gynos vaccine, protective against smallpox and monkeypox administered in the United States, since June 2022, more than 90% were given to men, presumably gay and bisexual men. Communications teams, how long... Finally, these articles are fucking goddamn long. Communications teams at the CDC made great strides during this time. They acknowledged the realities of gay sexuality and its breadth of expression using the actual language gay men use when discussing sex with each other. The words fetish gear appeared on a CDC website for the first time. The clinical term anus became the more user-friendly butthole. And instead of public sex environments, the CDC spoke frankly about back rooms and sex parties and the risk of contracting monkeypox in those spaces.
Butthole is user-friendly. Butthole. User-friendly.
I guess it's more user-friendly because anus is too scientific or something.
God damn it.
More people are familiar with butthole than anus, so I guess that's what they mean. While those warning gay men to cut back on sex until they were vaccinated against monkeypox experienced accusations of...
Once you get vaccinated, you can have all the degenerate sex you want. But get vaccinated.
While those warning gay men to get back on sex until they were vaccinated against monkeypox experienced accusations of fomenting stigma, echoing pushback experienced by gay men who urged others to avoid bathhouses and start using condoms at the start of the AIDS crisis in the early 1980s. How about just abstain? Efforts to shoot the messenger are less aggressive than in years past. One key difference between HIV and monkeypox, many of the messengers were gay and bisexual men themselves, including gay journalists, doctors, and average citizens with access to social media, plus a generation of gay men who had been inspired to pursue public health careers in the wake of AIDS. The CDC's chosen spokesman to lead national conversations on monkeypox and gay men's sexual health wasn't a straight doctrinal code who squirmed with the mention of gay sex. Instead, it was Dr. Dimitri Daskalikis, an out gay man who not only attends raves, but posts shirtless... Oh, he's a Satanist, by the way.
Cool.
Dr. Dimitri Daskalikis.
Never heard of him.
He's a Satanist. He was posted on a magazine called The Good Doctor. He had like a pentagram on his chest.
The Good Doctor. Come on, finish.
Who not only attends raves, but posts shirtless selfies on social media to prove it. This is a messenger the community would listen to. Gay and bisexual men had already written the playbook in activism and advocacy throughout the HIV/AIDS epidemic, resulting in more than $7 billion in federal funding for HIV research, prevention, treatment, and social services. Furious over the federal government's initial response to monkeypox, they mobilized and organized, protesting at local Department of Health and Human Services offices and filing a complaint.
It's funny how this article mentions the HIV pandemic and all the problems that brought, but it doesn't talk about how Fauci was like pushing HIV drugs that were killing as many homosexual people as the HIV virus itself.
It was also killing many people who weren't at risk for HIV, because at the time everyone was encouraged to take the drugs. So a bunch of people who weren't at risk because they weren't they weren't having unprotected sex, they weren't using drugs, they died because they were encouraged to take the drugs.
Yeah, so like back then, like 40 years ago, like a bunch of gay people were actually like protesting Dr. Fauci, and like you can actually look at videos. They were holding up signs saying, "Dr. Fauci, you're killing us." And so like 40 years ago, Fauci was doing the same bullshit that he was doing up until like recently with COVID-19, and everybody just forgets and lets him do the same bullshit he did 40 years ago. That they let him do the same bullshit that he did with COVID-19, that he did with HIV/AIDS with COVID-19. Fuck you, Fauci. You're a fucking liar and a piece of shit.
So while an early and frankly honest public health response could have blunted the outbreak, resulting in far fewer cases and far less suffering, the swift collective action of gay and bisexual men prevented the catastrophe.
So they temporarily stopped having degenerate sex with multiple partners. Woo, so fucking brave. Yeah, celebrate, give them all medals.
If the broader American public had responded to the
freedom fighters
had responded to the threat of COVID-19 the way gay and bisexual men responded to the threat of...
Oh, okay. So, the public at large should have responded to COVID-19 the same way fags responded to monkeypox. Fuck you.
There have been 100 million to date and a lower death toll, 1.1 million in counting. When the next infectious outbreak strikes, and surely it will, the public would be wise to channel gay and bisexual men.
Channel gay and bisexual men? Bring out your inner gay? No, fuck you. I'm super straight.
Communicate. I think they're talking about channeling our advocacy for...
Nah, I don't care. I don't care how they mean it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to channel any gay. Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you. Communicate openly without stigmatization, organize and insist on access to effective prevention, diagnosis, and treatment.
You know, Salty Cracker says it best. We need to bring shame back.
Vincent James has been saying that for years.
Make shame great again. Make America straight again. Ha ha ha. Fucking fags.